Okay, good morning. Happy
Good
Tuesday. Welcome
morning.
back, Nikki. How was your trip out to Vegas?
Oh my gosh, it was so good. So good. It was the best Culture Con experience yet. We had a really fun time in Vegas and met so many great people. And our studio was up on the 19th floor overlooking Vegas. So we got
Mhm.
a really cool backdrop. I'm excited to see how it all comes together with the episodes.
Yeah, you sent me pictures of that. It looked super cool. And we had a great conversation with Brax. I don't know if you had a chance to go back and listen. I think it's live on our YouTube now, so we'll have to share that out on social. But he really did a great job. I mean, especially
Oh,
for he's normally not up until right before his first class, which is at like 9 a.m., you know? So
yeah.
I think for being up earlier than usual so yeah, it was fun to have him on and hear his
I love it.
insights.
It's on my list. I'm so glad you just reminded me because I wrote it down. I was like, make sure to go back and listen to that. So I'm so
Yeah.
glad you guys had a good time.
It was good. It was good. And then, looking at this topic today, I was like, man, this is such a good topic, especially just this time of year. Like, the stuck on how do we know we're in a rut? Like, how do we get out of those? What are some of the shifts that we make? And I think with daylight savings, girl, I don't
Mhm.
know about you, but 7:30 comes and I'm like having to, hold my eyes open. Like, don't do it, Amy. You
I
can't go
know.
to bed. I feel like and obviously some of that's biological. Less light outside means that our dopamine and serotonin isn't as productive as it typically is in the summer months or when we have more light outside. But I think it's so easy to fall into ruts or unproductive routines,
Mhm.
during the winter months.
Yeah. And I don't know about you, but I'm feeling the heat of the end of the year right now. I have goals
Mm,
that I want to hit, and November is a short month, and December is a short month. And I am like, I need to stay on point. So this is a good, everyone goes through those rut times, and sometimes they sneak up on us and are surprising, and other times it's like, oh, this it's that time of year, and I have to be proactive. But
mhm.
I'm coming into this with like, I've had a lot of the rut times, but I really, really need to be productive right now. My team and I have some big goals, and I want to stay my very best. So I'm ready to work through this topic today.
So I'm curious, by the way, what are some of your wintertime hacks? Or is there anything that shifts in the winter for you to keep that productivity going?
Mm. I think extra conscious focus on the things I have to do in the morning to get myself started
Mm,
in a great place. Also, just making sure I'm getting the enough sleep because I'm more tired in the winter. I mean, I think what you were just
mhm,
sharing that. So, making sure that I'm dedicated to my sleep and then making sure that my mornings are on point with my routines that help me stay my best because right now through the end of the year, David, my husband, and I were just talking about it's a sprint right now, and they're going to be long days, but we will have a nice long Thanksgiving break and a very long holiday break.
mm.
And we need to hold ourselves accountable to doing all the things like for our health, sleeping, eating right, getting exercise, very intentional so that we can finish strong. So I'm
Yeah.
glad I have that accountability buddy in my house.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. It's good. I love the like getting out of the house when it's still dark outside and like getting to the gym is a goal that I've started lately and we'll get more into that of like shifting, from rut into more productive areas, but it's also time. This is like reminder to self, I need to dig my happy light out. Um
Mm,
I have one of those super bright lights that you use in the wintertime. It's supposed to help
mhm,
mimic the sunlight and as soon as you get up, I think bright light exposure is supposed to help with, I can't remember what the chemical's called in the brain, but it's essentially what helps your brain kind of naturally wake itself up. I think it's aldenosine, might be the name of it. But using one of those happy lights can help. And then it can help with our serotonin production too. And so I got to dig mine out right next to my heater because it gets cold in my office in the wintertime.
uh-huh. I've never used one, but I want to try it.
Yeah, I think they're good. It's just a matter of remembering to turn the dang thing on. So
Yeah.
let's talk about the difference between ruts and routine. Like Nikki, I think you're super disciplined to your morning routine. How could you tell a difference, or what's your measurement of how to know if you are in a productive routine versus in kind of an unconscious rut?
Mm. Okay. Well, I would say when I'm in a rut, I am just not as purposeful. I let time kind of slide by. I'm like, oh gosh, have I been sitting here scrolling for an extra 20 minutes? Like,
Mhm,
whereas the opposite is, okay, I have, 10 minutes for this breath work. I'm going to spend 20 minutes in this meditation. I'm going to journal. I have a deadline, that structure
mhm.
versus just letting kind of life take over and me not being in the driver's seat. That's the difference for me. When I'm in a rut, I'm not feeling in control of my time and being proactive.
Yeah, I think that's a good reflection, and I think it's even where we don't realize we've just kind of lost, like, the luster in things, you know? I think if we become, let's just say, like, a rut in our work, I feel like, we get into a rut when we're living in our, we've talked about it before, like the love, hate, good, bad matrix that I
Hmm.
really love going back and looking at. I think it's such a good way for us to be like, am I utilizing my strengths in the best of ways? And I think if we end up spending a lot of our time in the area of things that we're good at but we don't love, then we can very easily get in a rut, and we're really easily going through the motions. And I think some of the telltale signs of that, at least in our career, is like we see something on our calendar and we're like, "Ugh, okay." Like, you
Hmm.
kind of got you've got to get yourself in the mode to do it. And sometimes that's just a day where you've got to do that. But if you find you're doing that all the time with this consistent things on your calendar, I think that's a sign you could be in a rut. So it's like energy draining, you don't get excited about it, going through the motions. I think
Hmm.
a rut in your relationship is taking each other for granted, where you're like, "Yep, we're just roommates, 2 passing ships in the night. Hey, how you doing?" Going our own ways and not, to your point, being intentional. And then I also think about times I've been in a rut and, like, just my practices. Like, what has once been a ritual moved to a routine and then moved to a rut. And I think a ritual is at its greatest sense when, like, we have a spiritual connection to whatever that is. Like, whether it's a ritual of moving our body or journaling or meditation or prayer, whatever. Like, that's when we're so bought in. I think routine is where maybe we're not as bought in, but we stay disciplined to it, and then it moves to a rut when it's just checking the box.
Hmm. Hmm.
So, yeah.
The word "fine" comes to mind.
Mm,
I do not like that word. If I say it, I feel it immediately. I'm like, "Oh my, like, what am I doing?" Like, when things are just like, "Hey, so how was today?" "Fine." Like,
yeah.
"How is work going?" "Fine." I'm like, "Wow, like, come on, we got this one chance, we got this one opportunity. Why are we doing fine?" And I think,
Mm,
the rut is this unconscious repetition that creates fine. So, like, in a relationship, like you said, you're just kinda roommates and it's just fine. Like, there's no excitement, that's why people say, okay, are you keeping the spark alive? Are you doing a date night or something? Because usually, like, that's a fun thing. So it's
mhm.
not fine. So yeah, I think it's fighting the fine. Like, just don't live that way. And when we get in those motions, just it's time to address it. Be aware, and let's go from unconscious repetition to conscious uh practices, habits, you
Yeah,
know?
I agree. I think it's so good to just, I think there's times in life where we might get in a rut out of survival, and I totally understand that. There are times when you're like, "This is just the season we're in right now." And maybe the best that we can do in those moments are like, what is maybe that, like, Sunday afternoon, or like what is the glimmer in the week where we can make room and be committed to doing something that adds in passion or excitement or connection or whatever might feel like it's missing in that rut. Because I know when my kids were little and my husband, we're both working full time and the kids are in every sport known to man. And, like you just, life is very routine, which can feel very much like a rut. So I think it's a matter of like, what is your bandwidth? And even if it's in an hour form once a week, that's something, you know?
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, but it is helpful to, I think, be able to just look at those areas of life. I know you're always so good about the life wheel and just take a peek at what's operating from a place of ritual or solid, passionate routine versus going through the motions.
Yeah. And I think if we really dig down deep, way under, the bottom of the iceberg, if you will, it's purpose. It
Mm,
is like, what am I here for? And even if the weeks are so packed, there can be 5 minutes or 10 minutes of action taken, whatever that looks like, that is purpose driven, and that I feel like I was using my gifts, my strengths. Like I did something today, whether it was for me to fill my cup or what I feel contributes, whatever that is. I think the core of um, where we get in a rut of a fine life is
mhm,
the disconnect from our purpose, our calling, whatever you want to
mhm,
say.
mhm. And sometimes, I mean, here's the thing. I think that for some people, our purpose is very clear and we're like, yes, I get it. I know it. Let's go. I think for other people, I've talked to many people who fall in this category. The idea of finding their purpose creates more stress because they feel like there's something wrong with them if they're not stuck to their purpose. Here's what I think is important. We are just meant to live a happy, joyful life. Love your people. If that is your only purpose in life, it's a pretty damn good purpose. Now, if you're somebody who's like, "Ooh, I know what my life's mission is," then amazing. You get to use that as your North Star, if you will. But I think ultimately our purpose is just be happy, have fun, enjoy life, laugh, love your people, you know, learn lessons, it's all of that stuff is also part of it. And so I think that reflection though is just like, does life feel happy and joyful, and in what areas, and in what areas might it not? Am I in a career I've outgrown? Am I in a relationship that's like just going nowhere, or I'm just tolerating how I'm being treated instead of like really setting up my standards? Are my habits numbing? Am I just here to kind of like rinse and repeat these habits that I know don't work for me? And I think the reflection of that is so helpful, so that we can live a happy life.
Yeah. And I think, not to overlook, if you haven't figured out, oh, here's my calling or my purpose, we're all on a journey to figure that out. It could be at, I don't know, 60, 70. Some people find it at 7, and whatever. And sometimes it changes that, and it's the journey of doing the work on ourselves that get you out of the fine. And that could be right now, you mentioned the life wheel and just a practice of if we just lean into joy. My most joyful state at this point in my life, this season, in my category of health, in my category of my kids, my home. You can, if you just spend time, and you do some reflection, it can be pretty energizing just to look at like, what's one thing I could do that's gonna bring me joy today that taps into, like,
Mhm,
who I am and what, like, brings me
mhm.
alive, and I think sometimes we make it a lot harder than it is. It's really not
Yeah.
that hard. It's sitting down and doing that practice, just, like, reflecting and thinking, and it can be really energizing.
Mhm. It's this is the thing that many of us have to continue to work on, is to not let whatever state we're in continue to dictate the actions that we take. And we often are waiting to feel motivated. I mean, I hear this all the time. I just don't feel motivated to try something new, or I don't feel motivated to work out. I don't feel motivated. It's like, motivation comes on the other side of action, not before. So if we're waiting for motivation, we will stay in a rut. It's not going to change, because here's the thing: motivation it's literally a hit of dopamine that we get. Dopamine only comes on the other side of some activity. And now the downfall of that is, it's a really good dopamine creator, or like where we get to release dopamine is in scrolling. And that's why it's so hard to shut it off. Brax and I talked about this last week when he joined, is that, it's designed to be addictive. And so we have to just understand our brain. Our brain is not designed for us to be happy and successful. Our brain is designed to keep us safe. And
Mm,
so new and different feels unsafe to the brain. And so if we're letting our brain, tell us, if we're waiting for our brain to get into this specific place that feels motivated and clear, and we are going to be in that waiting period forever. Like we
mhm,
really have
mhm,
to this is where consciousness is so important, so that we can rise above the level of our thinking, so we can see it differently, notice the feeling attached to it, and take an action anyway, despite whatever, feelings or whatever stories our brain might be trying to tell us.
mhm, mhm. I think energetically too, when we feel that, oh, I just don't have it. Like what is this? I think it's this signal from our body. We all go through these times, first of all. I go through them, you go, everyone does. But we have to pick up on those signs that our body is giving us that we've like outgrown something. Like this is
Mhm.
boring, this feels misaligned now. Like we change in life and we level up. And, that in between is this calling like that we feel in our bodies to, okay, this particular thing I've been doing for a while, I can delegate this. I can, this is going to be exciting for somebody else. Or this particular, class that I've been going to for 3 years on Tuesday nights, I just don't wanna go anymore.
Mm,
Well, probably because you've outgrown that current rhythm, right?
mhm.
It's time to look at what's next, and I think we don't sometimes in the moment, we don't see we just think like, "Gosh, something's wrong with me. I don't wanna go to this class after 3 years." It's like, "It's been 3 years."
Yeah.
Let's kinda look at, what's the next thing, and that's okay, and to say, "I'm done with this for now," and
Mhm.
to yeah, so
Yeah, evolving and evolution is like, it's scary to the mind and to the body, and yet it's what we as humans need, and especially if part of your value system. So, going back to what are your top 4 or 5 core values, innovation is one of mine, and so if I've not had a chance to innovate, even if it's with clients, helping clients innovate in some way, through some problem or challenge, or if it's an innovation in our business, I can start to feel my energy become stagnant. And so looking back at your core values can help drive you to just knowing what you might need more of
mhm.
in order to feel better and feel more on top of your game, more connected to your life. And I mean, I'm somebody who I don't know about I think you do so well, Nikki, like in your environment, you get in, you can get your head down and you can knock shit out. And it doesn't really matter where you are. I have to change my environment depending on the type of work I'm doing. So,
Mm,
like, I could do meetings in my office all day long, but the minute I need to do creative work or brainstorming or problem solving that doesn't involve a conversation with another human, I have to change my environment. I have
mm,
to like get out of my house, go to a coffee shop, head down, and it helps activate a different part of my brain, So that if not, I would so be in a rut. And actually, I'm thinking to myself today, like, I've got to go work in a coffee shop because I've worked from home too many days in a row. Like, it's time.
mhm.
It's time.
Yeah, and, like, knowing your own personal, like, recipe for,
Mhm.
getting yourself, energized. Like, David, he works at home, his office is downstairs, but I can hear music blasting. I'm like, "And how does he even think?" But that helps him so much, like, it is just blaring, like, I can feel the floor like vibrating, but it helps him so much. And that's what he does when he just needs to think, is he has really good beats on and whatever. And I'm like, I could never do that, you know? And for
Mhm.
me, I love to be in my office with my screens and I have certain books that I like to write in my journals, and it's just I can't work anywhere else as good as like my setup. And then, like you said, Amy, it's like, oh, coffee shop day. It's going to be like just knowing you're going to set yourself up for success, to think your best, because you know that like a coffee shop does that. We have to know that. Like we have to figure that out for ourselves.
Mhm. I think it is helpful. So the places where we get interrupt, I think the easiest are relationships, health, like daily routines, and career. I think those are the top 3 for sure. Um, can you think of a time, like, do you have an example of even recent where you noticed you were in a rut somewhere, and how did you make a shift?
Oh gosh, yeah. I mean, I don't let myself stay in them for very long. I will say that. I am like, we are not doing this. And there have been seasons, I call it the waiting room. I'm like, I don't know, God has me in the waiting room right now and I don't like this, but it's teaching me something. So I also try to surrender and embrace it. I will say we gotta do that. But let's anytime I feel bored, that is just
Mhm,
not my and I'm like, why do I feel bored with this? And that's my opportunity, if it's work related, to figure out a new system or to delegate it. And sometimes, a lot of times when we delegate, someone feels so empowered to take something on and learn that, and that's new to them. And so when I feel bored, which does happen regularly, but I don't let it happen very, very often, it's usually, how do I find a new system for this? Like AI has changed my life with that.
mhm,
It's like, oh, that's fun now because I'm using it in a different way and cranking it out, or teaching someone else to do it and they're thriving. I'm like, I love that you love this. I can't tell you how many times I've said this. I love that you love this, Brittany. I love that you love this, Chelsea. I love it. Like, it's awesome, because then you've handed off something that is no longer fulfilling you and they're excited to do it. And I
mhm,
think that's the
mhm.
power of delegation.
Yeah, that's that love, hate, good, bad. That exercise is so good for people to do and do with their team, because there are inevitably things that fall on your good, hate, that is somebody else's love, good. And it's like,
Mhm.
awesome. This is
Mhm.
it's gonna be so much better served. The vibration of the outcome is going to be much more aligned when somebody loves
Mhm.
it.
Mm.
And they
You
and
know,
they want to do it.
Amy, I think one thing for all of us to recognize is when we know, we know. So
Mm,
when we know that this is no longer serving us, I'm driving to this, whatever it is, on my calendar, and I'm like, oh, just that feeling. It's like, why am I doing this? Why am
mm,
I going? And so when you know, and it's up to us to then make a change. You're going to have that nudge. Now, is the change going to happen overnight? Probably not in like 1 week, but you start taking the steps. You start saying no to the
mhm.
things that are in that kind of realm, or start, working on a new system or whatever that is. But when we know, we know. And when we drag out taking action to change what we know doesn't serve us anymore, it's this misalignment and it's not going to go away. So you might as well just do something.
Yeah, and to that point too is when you start doing something new, just know, because your brain is not designed to make you happy or successful, it's designed to make you safe, that it's likely that you will have some of those resistant feelings, but just notice what you feel on the other side of the action. Like,
Mhm.
I think about this, and I mean, we've all been there. Do you know how many times? So I have a standing date every Monday, Wednesday, Friday with my mom at the gym. I wasn't able to go yesterday, but at 6:30 a.m. And let me tell you, there has not been one day where I'm like, "Yay, I can't wait to get my ass in the car and be at the gym that's a 20-minute drive for me at 6:30 in the morning." However, when I notice how do I feel when I leave, I'm, like, really proud that I did that. I'm like, "Oh, I'm so glad that I made that happen." So, notice the feeling on the other side of the action. That's a better indicator when you're doing something new than the feeling on the
Mhm.
front of the
That's
action.
good. That's good.
Yeah,
That's really good. I think, you know what? Let's break that down for a second, because I
mhm.
think we're talking about two different things. One is something that no longer serves us. We're driving to
Yes,
this
yes.
thing and it's like, okay, this is a no longer serving thing. When I leave there, I don't feel better, right? Like
Right.
I didn't know how to say no, and I need to learn how to say no. On the other side, the things that are healthy for us, like these healthy routines, conscious choices to do these things that you don't want to hop in the freezing cold, car at 6:30 in the morning, but you know that every time you do it, you feel empowered, you feel confident, whatever, and there's such a difference there, right? I
Mhm,
think for
mhm.
us to think about like what's one thing in each of those categories. We all have something in each
Yeah.
of those categories right now.
Mhm.
So, one of them don't do, the other one go do it.
Yeah. I think if I were to if this were an exercise that I were gonna do in each of these in career, relationships, and habits, and self, my go-to would be for career, do a love, hate, good, bad. And then
Mhm.
and then back that up with values alignment, And values alignment could be in the work you're doing, it could be the clients you're working with, it could be the team that you're working on. Like, I think both of those things together can really help us see if we're ready for a career shift. And sometimes it's just changing the story too. Maybe it's like, God, I wanted this career. And actually, I really do like so much of what I'm doing. I've just decided to look. Sometimes it's just a perception shift, but sometimes it really is an action, a new action that needs to be performed. I think in
Mhm.
relationships, I would really sit down and be like, what is missing? What's my love language? What's my significant other's love language? How are we prioritizing that, at least once a week? Are we living based on the life they want? Are we living based on the life I want? Do we have a compromise in between? Those would be things that I would look at in relationship. And then when it comes to habits and self-control, I would really look at mental and physical and spiritual health, mental, physical, and spiritual, and say, what am I doing to connect with these every day? Every day. How do I honor the body that I live in? How am I connecting with my mind so that my subconscious and unconscious mind aren't running the show? Like, what practices do I have? And then how do I feel spiritually connected? Or what does that even mean for me? Because if that piece is missing, if you don't, even if the spiritual connection is just a deep resonance with yourself and this, the constant of who you are, if that is missing, I think it's a ripple effect of other things within our life. So that would be
Mhm.
my things. Now, Nikki, if you were stuck in any
Mhm.
of those categories, what would be your go-to to help you get unstuck?
Gosh. I don't know why this story is coming to mind when you were sharing this, so I don't know if I'm going to answer your question directly, but it started to make me think there are some things that are pretty straightforward, and other times this is a lot harder to do. And I'm going to give an example. You were saying something about relationships, and I was thinking about a time that there was a lady I worked with, and we, from day one, I don't know what it was, but we were not even close to anything like besties. Like, I was like,
Mhm.
oh, I had this meeting, and I was like dreading these meetings. Those meetings were totally fine. Just check the box, get through them. I had to just get through it. This is the deeper thing of like, I had to do some what is this? Why do I have this with her? And we got to know each other through some I don't remember who started it, but we had a deeper dive, got to know each other. This is, I don't know, 4 years ago or something. And the other day I mentioned her name to David. I said, and he goes, do you ever talk to her anymore? I was like, I miss her so much. He's like, do you remember when? And I was like, yes. Well, sometimes it's not like what's on maybe the surface to just be like, nope, this doesn't serve me. No, we had I think it was like an ego conflict, honestly. And
Mm,
I had to do the digging in. It was not, and I could have just discerned it as like, nope, not somebody I'm going to work with or figure it out. But it's like, I guess my answer to your question is really understanding the core of what is this that's making it fine or not thriving or whatever. Because
mhm.
sometimes it's the harder work to then, it's really me. It's just me. She just kind of triggers me, right? And I needed to get through that. Now I'm like, oh my gosh, I cannot wait to, like, we're catching up soon and I can't wait to talk to her. We had to figure out how to work together. And that's just, I don't know, it's complex.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I
So
think it's so wise for you to be like, I'm having this experience. What can I do about it? And just take ownership. Like, that's just incredibly conscious to take ownership over. And it doesn't mean this is all gonna be perfect from now, but at least you're like, "I'm owning what I can own in this, and I'm reflecting
Mhm.
on what am I meant to know or understand? How can I approach this differently?" Instead of being like, "The world just needs to be different so I can feel better." And I think
Yeah.
that's the ultimate goal of this conversation is we're not waiting for the world outside of us to change to make us feel better. We've gotta take some conscious action and conscious
Mhm.
reflection to make that happen. So
Mhm. So good.
so good. You know what? There's times when I'm like, "Gosh, we might be done with this conversation in 15 minutes." And then, no, we're just getting started.
Yeah, I know, I know. Yeah, so much more that we could keep on with this, honestly, and it's been really good for me today. It actually spurred, something that I need to work on today. So I every time, every single time.
Yeah,
So, thank you
love
so
this.
much,
Thank
and so
you.
glad that others join us, and
Yeah.
I'll see you next week.
See you next week.